So it sounds like Sherwood, as hearing from people who've spoken, is the oldest one on the panel, which is exciting because we're mostly youngish people. So it is a co-op that got started in the 30s, associated with the University of Washington. Thanks to the Depression, kids were trying to figure out a way to live more cheaply. So they got together, got a household of boys together, and started kind of taking care of themselves and buying food and just kind of getting it along without sort of the staff and all of the things that cost at a university. And it grew at that time into a network of co-ops of about 12 houses and with a big central kitchen, and it was great. If you know anything about the co-op network in Berkeley or in Michigan or in Madison, it was all like those. In the 50s, however, cooperation sounded a lot like communism, and people freaked out, and the houses kind of got sold, and people disconnected, and it was sad. But the Sherwood community stayed relatively in touch and intact, moved around the neighborhood into different houses, moved into the house we're in now in the late 70s, and then bought the house in 2001. And then in 2007, we became a part of the Evergreen Land Trust, which oversees 7 intentional communities in the greater Seattle area to ensure that these properties are forever intentional communities. So we're set for good, which is really exciting. So our kind of structures and systems are complicated. Living in communities, a multifaceted type of project, especially one that's been going on for a long time. There's a lot of institutional memory and knowledge that comes and goes and passes through. So we are largely students, the 14 of us who live in this household together. It used to be only students allowed, and we have kind of diversified a little bit from that. People in the house are between, right now, like 19 and 27 or so, and we kind of tracked that age-ish range. Since we're in the U district, it's, university style, so that's kind of what happens. People are students, people are doing AmeriCorps sorts of things, or different kinds of community activism. We have, to be a bunch of responsibilities. So there are kind of labor commitments to the community that everyone is required to fulfill in order to keep it alive and well. So those look like the following, I suppose. People contribute 3 hours of chore labor per month, and those chores rotate. So that's like cleaning the bathroom, or taking care of the chickens, or being the garden coordinator person. Those sorts of things, cleaning out the leftovers fridge, that kind of thing. There's also teams, 4 kind of labor teams that take care of the pillars of what hold up the co-op. So there's the finance team, and those folks take care of the finances. We share our costs of living, so everyone's room costs something a little bit different. It's not specific all the same. These things are small, some big, sort of thing. And we're currently paying off our mortgage, so that is unfortunately not as low as we'd love it to be, but sooner or later we're hoping for that to go away. So we share that, the cost of living of the room, and then utilities we share, and then food. The cost of food we also share. So food team is in charge of food shopping at local co-ops. The Madison Market we do a lot of our shopping at, and also at farmers market. So we try and juggle cheapness, nutritionness, localness, and organicness, kind of in the mix of like who we are, the people of our age, and also like the values and like the food politics that we are holding. It's juggling, so it's hard, but so that fluctuates the different people and values that come into the house. So there's food team, finance team. There is a maintenance team. So since we own the house, we're the landlords, and so we take care of keeping the house up. So like taking down the chimney. A couple weeks ago, it was a big deal because it was looking like not great, and would have fallen in on us sometime in the future. So that's something that maintenance team deals with. And there's membership teams, which is me, and so I then facilitate new people coming, old people moving out. Our membership process is kind of a process because setting up to do all these sorts of things is something you have to be intentional about. So making sure that people know that they're signing up for that is really important. We meet twice a month for 3 hours a pop, and during those times we do like community check-ins, talk about policy stuff or details, like if people are driving to something to the house, like how much to pay back, driver sort of thing. To buy or not to buy cheese was really big for a while. We're largely vegan. The kind of whole veganism mostly, not because we're all vegan, but because it's the most inclusive kind of way to incorporate everyone's eating habits and tendencies. So that was big, the cheese issue. At meetings also, we're really intentional about being conscious about social oppression issues. So like sexism, patriarchy, blah, 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 ism, or racism. And so that's a big part of kind of what bonds us as a community. We spend 30 minutes of our meeting times in like a vibes session, we call it, vibes time, that's designated to be time to talk about how different sorts of socially constructed systems of oppression affect us as individuals and affect us as a community in our 14-member household, and how we can work on breaking those systems for us as a community and in our broader community. So that's a big one that I like a lot. So in addition to meetings, people cook twice a month. So 14 people cooking 2 dinners a month pretty much means there's dinner every night, which is really lovely. We also go on retreats twice a year in the fall and the spring, and we work hard to essentially be a model of community for people in the city and for young people. A lot of times people come in as members to Sherwood having no experience with intentional living and cooperation at all, any kind of idea about an alternative lifestyle, alternative politics at all. And so it's kind of a really great place for energy to come and build and like see what happens. People often jump from Sherwood after 1 or 2 or 3 years into more long-term kind of adult understandings of living, like these people. Or they go and they're like, that was a phase of my life and that was cool, and I learned a lot about how I communicate and how I deal with people and what I need, and I'm going to not do that. So it's kind of one of those kind of early in life kind of stages in life for some people, but also jumping off my for other people. So yeah, constantly in flux.
Thanks. That's a good description.